Salute to all the Patreon members. Want to thank you guys for your support. It really means a lot to me. If you guys could do me a favor, check out the link in the description box below for the Patreon page. Excuse me. I got a brand new video that I'm going to upload later on onto the Patreon page, so you don't want to miss that. Forgive me. Man, so today's topic is one I've been wanting to make for quite some time right now. Women in Colombia have it the worst, but come out looking the best. All right. Women in a lot of impoverished countries have it the worst, but come out looking the best. That caption would have been too long. So I zoned in on one country, Colombia, arguably having some of the best looking women in the world, but look at their living conditions. Manuela Alejandra on the right, look at where she came out of. Look at where she crawled out of. And look how she looks. But look at Karen on the left. Karen had all the resources in the world, but look at how she come out the house looking. All right? You went to the best schools. You had the best shoes. You had the best clothes. And this is why a lot of brothers are getting their passports. This is why a lot of men are getting their passports. This is why men have gotten their passports. All right? So let me tell y'all something. The woman on the left had all the support and resources to look like the woman on the right, but she chose not to take advantage of those resources. She chose not to take advantage of that support. She had a family that was willing to pay and support any high-intense cardio contact sport that she chose to participate in to keep her active and in shape when she was growing up in high school, middle school, but she chose not to. Some of these women, they did choose those paths in their younger years, but fell off the wagon after they graduated high school. These women, they realize that it takes discipline and possibly money for a trainer to stay in good condition like Manuela on the right. But some people, they aren't willing to pay for those things. Then you realize that the person who more than likely funded those activities for you growing up was your father. Your father provided those activities for you to stay in shape. Organized recreational sports, it costs money. Just like staying in shape, it costs money. And even if you don't have a gym membership, you know, them home workouts, those park workouts, parkour, those exercise, it costs your time and it costs your energy. The woman on the left had all of the tools to look like the woman on the right. All right. Woman on the left, Karen on the left, this woman grew up with a sodium-based water filtration system in her home. Grew up on a vegan diet. She had a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system in her home growing up. 24/7 access to running water. Pest control. Your school district had a bus that would pick you up from home to school and then drop you back off at home at the end of the day, right in front of your house. 3-course meals plus snacks in between. You had a nanny growing up. Grew up in a $600,000 home somewhere in Texas. Manicure lawn. Family dental plan. Braces. And at that dental plan, with that dental plan, it came, you know, oftentimes you could get cleanings underneath that dental plan. Doctor visits. New clothes every 4 months. New shoes every 6 months. Weekly trips to the grocery store. You had an allowance. You grew up walking on clean sidewalks and streets, no litter. You never seen graffiti in your neighborhood. Never even heard a gunshot in your neighborhood your whole entire life. When the police and the ambulance would show up to your neighborhood, it was always for the elderly who probably fell. Karen on the left grew up with a washing machine and a dryer in her house. You had a pool and a jacuzzi in your backyard. You also had a hammock in your backyard. You had a home alarm security system. Gated community. Karen grew up in a smart home, Ring cameras all around the house. Karen had a dishwasher growing up. And when I talk about Karen on the left, man, this isn't just talking about some random white woman. This is all races of women who grew up in America. All races of women who grew up in America. I can't Photoshop all different races of women on the left. It'll take up too much space, right? Woman on the left had a TV and a computer in her own room. Wall-to-wall carpet. Parents bought you a brand new car when you were 16. When you were struggling in school, you had Kumon tutoring. Birthdays at Six Flags for you and all your friends. Lifetime gym membership. Lifetime fitness gym membership. Or Equinox. You slept on a Tempur-Pedic mattress growing up. Heated floors. Walk-in shower and a jacuzzi tub in your bathroom. You had all the tools to win and look like the woman on the right in life. How did you end up looking like the Violator from Spawn? How did you end up looking like Jabba the Hutt when you got older? How? The only real resources you took advantage of growing up were GMOs. Nothing to keep you healthy. Didn't exercise, stuffed your face, right? But Manuela on the right, Manuela, she had nowhere near the amount of resources you had, and she still ended up being a dime. She still ended up being an 8, 9, or a dime. You go to Colombia, it's like 8, 9s, or dimes everywhere. I remember growing up, in the media around the way, a lot of guys would talk about, J-Lo, how they would love to have her. They glorify her look, even to this day. She went viral for saying how she was never loved. She had, but focusing on her looks, man, J-Lo is like a 5 or a 6 in Colombia. Even in her prime, she still would have been a 5 or a 6 in Colombia. You go to Colombia, some of these Colombia, Brazil, it's number 8s, 9s, and dimes out there. But look where Manuela came out of. Manuela grew up in a shanty town in Colombia. Yeah, you see this home next to, she grew up in that. She grew up in a shit shack. Yeah, Manuela grew up in a shit shack. No pest control. Spiders, snakes, roaches, rats, ants roaming freely throughout her spot. Biting her ass in her face throughout the middle of the night. No AC. The only access she had to water was 12 miles away, and the shit was contaminated in a dirty river. She drank and bathed in that same water, in that river. She drank, bathed, pissed, shit in that same water at the river. Her shit shack was filled with mold, termites, and asbestos. Hand-me-down clothes, not from her sister, not from her mama, but from her grandmother. She get her clothes in barrels. She got her clothes out of a barrel. Bare feet walking in mud. Raised off eating chicken feet soup. Broken glass in the street and on the sidewalk. Never been in a temperature controlled room in her life. She don't know what AC is. Never been to a doctor a day in her life. Never been to a dentist. Bottom of her feet is blacker than Flavor Flav. Never had a pedicure. Been using the same toothbrush for 12 years. When she went to school as a kid, stray dogs would roam freely throughout her classroom. I've seen this before in person. When I was in Thailand and I taught English in Kankoy, that's like 2 hours north of Bangkok. I'd be in a classroom teaching, and the diseased dog who had no hair on its body, open wounds, infected open wounds all over its body, would just roam into the classroom and walk around. I'm like, hey man, somebody get the damn dog out the classroom. And they looked at me like, teacher, what's wrong? Teacher, what's wrong? This is normal. No, get the dog out the class. They was looking at me like something was wrong with me. Manuela, she been pressured to have sex for money since she was 10 years old to feed the family. Manuela got to hand wash all her clothes and underwear and hang them on that line outside of a shit shack. She was never able to afford food at school to eat. She never ate at school a day in her life. Wasn't even able to eat every day. Never shopped at groceries. Never shopped for groceries at a grocery store. She had to go to the struggle market. The beef and the fruit had flies all over it at the struggle market. You buy your fruit and your meat full of flies and bag it up and take it home and cook that shit. Couldn't even afford McDonald's. Always sweaty. And she still managed to make it out of that environment looking like Miss Colombia, the beauty pageant. Now, ain't that some shit? This woman literally came from nothing and looks like a dime. You know, in America, I hate when people in America say that they came from nothing. I don't give a damn if you came from a dirty project building out of Memphis, Tennessee. That's luxury living compared to people in South America coming out of the favelas. People in projects all across America, they got firearms, Jordans, and iPhones, talking about they came from nothing. But a lot of women in Colombia and Brazil, they look like the woman on the right. Some look even better. And they all had the disadvantages in the world. This is why men have gotten their passports. Women on the right, some of them have children and they still snap back looking like that. Women on the left, they got every excuse in the world why they don't look like Manuela. Baby weight, thyroid issues, lack of brain development, black men. Women are blaming men for their obesity in America. Well, he made me fat. He stressed me out and made me fat. How can a man make you fat? Oh, all their mental abuse, it made me fat. All the resources that was afforded to you in life, but you use those resources to get chest tattoos and a raised pH balance. Manuela has never seen a doctor or a dentist, but she's had a balanced pH balance with minty fresh breath her whole life. Meanwhile, your dress size, the woman on the left, her dress size is a 24 and her waistline is a 44. 24, 44. You grew up in a neighborhood that had walking trails all throughout that subdivision, and you still 240 pounds. Manuela's ass and coochie smell like Manuela's ass and coochie smell wonderful, and she showers with a bucket and a dirty river every night. Meanwhile, Karen's coochie smells like a Colorado beef farm. This image is crazy. How does the world get like this? You had all the resources, just, but you know what? Manuela on the right, she didn't have to go to a doctor. She didn't have to get a BBL. She didn't have to get liposuction. She didn't have to get gastric bypass surgery. She didn't have to get lap band surgery. That's just how she naturally looks. That's her natural self. Meanwhile, the woman on the left, in order to look like the woman on the right, she spends like, you see women all on up and down IG spending over 200 grand to look like the woman on the right. The woman on the right, how much did that cost for her to look like that? Free and struggle. The men who step out of homes on the left are trying to switch this. They're trying to put women here, over there, and get the woman who come from this in here. They're trying to flip that. The men in these homes, they fly down to struggle countries to get Manuela in order to bring her back and put her in here. Karen on the left, she trying to find a way to divorce her husband that put her in a home like this. She trying to find a way to get the kids, divorce her husband, keep the house, kick him out the house, and still make him pay the mortgage in that house. So I want to show you the contrast here in the world, right? There's no excuse why women in America, most women in America, shouldn't be shaped and as beautiful as the woman on the right. With everything they've been afforded in America. That's why I say, when people say they poor or they come from nothing, how the fuck you poor and come from nothing, but you fat as hell? Poor people ain't fat. Poor people are skinny. Poor people ain't eating every single day. You eating all day, every day, and you so-called poor. Your ribs ain't touching. Then when you get the money, you don't even use that money for yourself, for your image, for your health. You get that money and you use that money to fuck up your health. You get that money and you too tired for the gym. You too tired for a trainer. You too tired for a nutrition plan. Manuela, she ain't got the best diet, but she can't eat every single day. So by default, she's in shape because she's fasting every other day. One meal a day and fasting every other day. She's like, hey, look, what's today? Wednesday? All right. I can't wait till Saturday. That's when I'll be able to eat again. Manuela had a meal today. She ain't eating until Saturday. Right? We want to fly to this. We try, and giving Manuela $50, giving her $100, you just paid her for the entire month. Salute to Activo. I appreciate it. All right. I want y'all to really, really take a look at this image right here. This is a sad image. America, Colombia. America, Brazil. America, Panama. America, Dominican Republic. America, Philippines. America, Thailand. America, Vietnam. America, El Salvador. America, Mexico. And don't tell me this ain't the truth. This home, I picked this home. This home is literally the neighborhood I live in. This is one of the houses in the neighborhood I live in on the left. I see this all the time. So this ain't some random home, some random neighborhood that I just Googled on the internet. No, this house is literally the modeled houses in the neighborhood I live in. I see this. I know what I'm talking about. Garden, manicure lawn. You got a shed with tools in the back. You still paying for a landscaper to come through and cut your shit. You're on a Mediterranean diet, a carnivore diet, a vegan diet, a pescatarian diet, and you still fucked up. You know what Manuela's diet is on the right? Hunger. That's her diet. She on a hunger diet. And I'll bet these two are the same age. Anyways, man, that's all I got for you guys today. This is a short video. Man, like, subscribe, share this video. I'm over and I'm out. Peace.